do everything possible to ensure that the shooter is swiftly and effectively prosecuted. Now on to what we are here for today. Obviously, we are at the border here in Texas, and we're here to talk about border-related issues. And let me just start out by making a very clear point, and that is President Joe Biden has caused a humanitarian crisis and chaos on our border. All Americans saw exactly what happened in Del Rio, Texas just last month, and we know that that chaos will be repeated unless and until President Biden takes action. 26 of America's governors have worked together to develop specific actions that Biden can take immediately to end the crisis on the border that he has caused. We, all of us, asked the president for a meeting to visit with us about this, and he refused to meet with us, and he completely ignored us. 9 of the 26 governors that crafted this action plan gathered today at the border, a border, by the way, that President Biden has never even been to. We're here to announce 10 actions that President Biden must take immediately. For me, I will mention 3. 1, the Biden administration must reinstate the Remain in Mexico protocols, which require asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while awaiting their court hearing. This is a proven deterrent to crossing illegally. 2nd, the Biden administration must finish securing the border, which includes, among other things, finishing the border wall. 3rd, the Biden administration must enforce Title 42 health restrictions at the border. And then I'll add this. While Joe Biden has done absolutely nothing to solve the crisis that he caused, Texas has taken 10 actions, not plans, but actions to address the Biden border crisis. 1, I signed laws providing $3 billion of Texas taxpayer money for Texas to do the federal government's job to secure the border. 2nd, I've deployed thousands of National Guard and Texas Department of Public Safety troopers and officers to secure the border. They are credited with forming a barrier that shut down the illegal migration surge in Del Rio. 3rd, we created a system to arrest and jail illegal immigrants who are trespassing in Texas. 4th, I signed a budget approval and provided the authorization to build a border wall in Texas. 5th, I signed a law to make it easier to prosecute smugglers who are bringing illegal immigrants into Texas. 6th, I signed 9 laws cracking down on human trafficking in Texas. 7th, I signed a law that creates a new crime for the manufacture or distribution of fentanyl. This targets the gangs and cartels that Biden is allowing into America who are trafficking this deadly drug. 8, I declared a disaster for border counties that are suffering from the surge of illegal border crossings. 9th, I issued an executive order to prevent NGOs from transporting illegal immigrants in Texas. And 10th, Texas took legal action to enforce the Remain in Mexico policy as well as the Title 42 policy. In that regard, a federal judge in Texas ruled in our favor, commanding the Biden administration to continue to keep the Remain in Mexico policy in place. The Biden administration has refused not only to keep that policy in place, but the Biden administration has also ignored that order issued by a federal court that was appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court and allowed to stay in place at this time. The Biden administration is in violation of a federal court order to impose the Remain in Mexico policy. Last, I want to make clear that while Biden continues to dither, Texas and other states are taking action to do the federal government's job. I thank the governors from across America who have sent resources to our state. They understand the magnitude of the problem as well as the need for action. And I thank the governors who were able to adjust their schedules to be with us here today.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.